Team Ninja has made a reputation for their challenging and in-depth combat systems over the past 20 years, having some of the most innovative takes on the Souls-like genre. Their latest release, Rise of the Ronin, is Team Ninja's first dive into an open world. So will applying their signature style into this kind of design turn out to be the right decision? Join us here today at Game 8 to find out! The story of Rise of the Ronin takes place in mid-19th century Japan during the Bakumatsu era, when the country had just started opening its ports to foreign trade. The intro has you following your two custom-made characters who are known as Blade Twins, warriors who have a strong bond and have been training with each other since they were young. But things happen and you're then separated from your other Blade Twin who is presumed to have been killed during a battle. Your character, who believes that their Blade Twin is still alive, then sets out to find their other half, which then takes them to the city of Yokohama. This journey leads them to getting involved in an ongoing conflict that will decide the fate of Japan. Along the way, they also meet some notable historical figures at the time like Naosuke Ii and Matthew Perry. No, not that one. This one! The game gives you multiple choices throughout the story, and these decisions you make will have a large impact on the narrative as it progresses. Players will have to be careful on which side they want to support, as it could lock you out from other factions' quests and rewards. That being said, the story does get a bit too simple and predictable at times, and some of the NPCs feel sort of bland with how they're portrayed. While Team Ninja does excel in combat, they're not exactly known for well-written narratives. So it's good to know that Rise of the Ronin offers some of the better stories from Team Ninja. Just like how From Software transitioned from the more linear Dark Souls style level design to a more open-ended world like that of Elden Ring, Rise of the Ronin does something similar, as this is Team Ninja's first foray into an open world. Gone are the mission-based levels that they've been doing since 2004. There are 3 large areas for you to explore: Yokohama, Edo, and Kyoto, each with their own feel and atmosphere to them. Yokohama has a mixture of both foreign and Japanese buildings, while Edo and Kyoto both are filled with traditional Japanese infrastructure. The gameplay of Rise of the Ronin feels like the culmination of almost everything Team Ninja has done. Not just that of Nioh and Wulong, but also some big nods to their older games as well. You get to pick from 6 starting classes, or Blade Sharpening Origin as it's known in the game, with each having their own specialties. You can go start out with the strength-based Killer Origins, which focuses on the more frontal assault type gameplay, or you can choose a Beginner, which is sort of a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none type of origin. We initially went with the Seducer, which gives us the skill Liar at the beginning of the game. It's very useful when you want to avoid some battles early on.
Are you indeed? In that case, we're here for the same reason.
As expected from a Team Ninja title, the game may provide a bit of a challenge, but it's the fair kind of challenging. The main core gameplay has its similarities to Nioh, in which you have different stances to choose from for each weapon. These stances also have certain advantages and disadvantages when going up against enemies of other weapon styles, meaning you'll have to plan which stances are best used to defeat certain enemies, resulting in a rock-paper-scissors mechanic as you attempt to counter an enemy's stance with your own. Another feature you can use to get the upper hand in battle is the Blade Flash mechanic, which is this game's version of Nioh's Key Pulse mechanic, where a time press of a button allows you to regain stamina and allow for more offensive tactics. Counter Spark serves as this game's version of parries. Like the deflect feature found in Wulong, a well-timed Counter Spark will make your enemy lose their guard, which then opens them up to a swift counterattack. Another thing to note about this is that the stance you have equipped will have an effect on how well you can Counter Spark. Using a stance that is at a disadvantage against your enemy's own stance will make it more difficult for you to perform a Counter Spark. One notable exception is the Shinobi stance, which has disadvantages against all enemy stances, but makes up for it for increased guard damage if one does pull off a Counter Spark. If taking the enemy head-on isn't your style, the game allows you to go for a stealthier approach. Taking a page out of games like Ghost of Tsushima, Rise of the Ronin gives you the option to go full shinobi mode and take out your enemies quietly. You can choose to take them out quietly with a bow from a safe distance, or do it the old-fashioned way by sneaking up behind the enemy. Anyone who's played Nioh, Final Fantasy Origins, and Wulong would be instantly familiar with Rise of the Ronin's loot system. Each encounter gives you quite a lot of loot to sort through. And we mean a lot! And the various stat and skill bonuses you get from the loot allows for some deep build variety. So kitting your character out with gear that would best suit your playstyle is a big part of the ARPG experience. Speaking of character, Team Ninja's excellent character creator makes a return. You can spend hours just customizing the character to your liking, down to the mixing and matching of different hairstyles. In addition to that, the game features a much improved transmog system for your armor as well, allowing you to mix and match different types of clothing. From choosing a different top to selecting different accessories, making your own badass Ronin garb has been a blast to do. And we spent way too much on this than we'd like to admit. Various stances and weapons to choose from, a deep and engaging loot system, an excellent character creator, and accessible cosmetic options, Team Ninja's aptitude for insane player customizability is once again in full display here. As this is an open world game, the game world does have a multitude of side activities you can take part in to earn some extra rewards. These can range from testing your accuracy with some firearms training, to the more gritty missions like hunting for fugitives to help out with the local law enforcement. There are also many ways to traverse the open world, from riding on horseback to taking to the skies with your glider. You can even use your grappling hook to make it to high ground and get the drop on your enemies. One of our gripes, however, is that riding on horseback tends to get you stuck on the game world's many obstacles. The auto-travel also doesn't help when every so often your mount gets caught between two objects and you wouldn't know how to proceed from there. Like, how do you even get stuck here? As you explore, you will also encounter AI-controlled versions of other players' characters. You can choose to engage with them in a fight, but be prepared to also face the might of the law if you choose to do so. Another thing you can encounter are other people's pilgrim dogs. These adorable balls of fur give out some rewards when you interact with them. You can also send out your own pilgrim dog, and in turn, other players may end up seeing them and also give them rewards depending on how much money you give to your dog. Speaking of co-op, the co-op in this game is a lot less open compared to the previous Team Ninja titles. You can't really co-op in the open world, as co-op is restricted to the many missions you will encounter throughout the game. These missions play out like your traditional Team Ninja titles, in which you're gonna have to reach an end area and defeat the enemies in your way. The game also features a bond system, where the more you do for a certain NPC or faction, the more rewards you get from them. The rewards can range from new armor to even new stances. It also ties back to the important decision of who to support, as siding with one faction may lock you out from the potential rewards of another. The visuals of Rise of the Ronin are one of its strong points. Compared to the designs found in Nioh or Wulong, Rise of the Ronin goes for a more grounded approach when it comes to aesthetics. The characters all look believable and are very well designed to the point that it's easy to tell how significant someone is by how they dress. The game's scenery is also quite the spectacle. From the quiet hills overlooking the city to the more modernized streets of Yokohama, there are a lot of breathtaking sights to feast your eyes on. The sound design for the game is great, as hearing your blades clash with your enemy never gets old, no matter how many encounters you face. The distinct ambient noises from the city also allows for some immersion, as you can really feel that you're in the more modernized part of town with all the English-speaking NPCs, which contrasts with the rural countryside where you're more likely to hear Japanese in the background. The voice acting is also a big standout, as even in the English dub, the Japanese characters were voiced by Japanese voice actors.
But are you sure you want to share that news with your enemies? I mean, you are working for the shogunate, aren't you?
Each of the prominent characters have very distinct voices, whether they were part of the Japanese faction or the American faction. This game feels like they took all of the best parts of Team Ninja's already rich catalog and applied it to an open world game. And that's why we're giving Rise of the Ronin an 8 out of 10. It's great seeing Team Ninja branch out with what they're comfortable with. And in turn, we ended up getting one of the better ARPGs to come out this year. And that's our review of Rise of the Ronin. What do you think about the game? Because we had a lot of really good ARPGs that came out the past few months. So how do you think this compares to the others? Let us know in the comments below. Until then, this has been Game8, signing off.